Hello and welcome to Versus Live. I'm Ross Merriam.
And I'm Ryan Overturf.
And we got Rob on the booth. Say hi, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
He'll be taking all your questions, comments, concerns, and burns in the chat. Make sure you tag at Star City Games so he can see them. Send his favorites over to us. As always, we're brought to you by Star City Games, as well as Carnox Chairs. If you want one of these chairs, you can go to carnox.com/SCG. And by using that affiliate link, you will get 10% off of your purchase. We are finishing up our Pioneer preview for the Season 2 Invitational coming up at SCG Con Winter this weekend. And it is 1-1, which means this last match is for the marbles.
Corey says, don't mess up.
I'll try my best, Corey.
Does he mean to Ross?
I believe so, yes.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
He wants to keep him in town.
Exactly. You know, he had to defend them against Brad on Monday on that show because and then I took the marbles from him on Tuesday, which put them on the line today. So definitely on me here to keep him right here in Roanoke. And I'm going to be playing, I think, one of my favorite decks in the format right now. Definitely a deck I'm considering for this weekend. And it is Mono Black Aggro, winning PTQ list from last weekend. We saw a couple lists like this in the last week or two start to get tuned up. They're playing a lot of cheap one-drop creatures, notably Night Market Lookout, because it's so good at crewing Smuggler's Copter. We got our Fatal Push Thoughtseize engine. We're going up to Scrap Heap Scrounger. At the top of the curve, it used to be Kalitas in the main. This list is playing Rankle, Master of Pranks.
I like that better.
I have played a bit with this deck, and Rankle was very impressive. And I think fits the style of the deck really, really well. With so many recursive threats, that discard mode generates card advantage for you the same way it does with looting off of Smuggler's Copter. And the deck can generate so much card advantage. It has a lot of, has an increased land count to do so. You have Castle Lockthwain that generates card advantage. You got Mutavault that effectively generates card advantage by turning your lands into usable resources. So we have 24 lands in an aggro deck. It means we're not going to stumble that often, but it's not a deck that's going to flood. We're going to pitch extra lands to our looting, to our rankles. We're going to have sinks for our extra mana, either returning creatures or drawing extra cards or activating lands. So a lot going on here. We got good disruption, got a good clock. And it's an aggressive deck that can still play into the long game against Supreme Verdict and other interaction.
For sure. Yeah, it's a really well constructed deck. I've been impressed by it. Over here, I got a little Azorius Flash. I think that the majority of this deck was actually legal and standard at the same time.
It's like Teferi and Brazen Borrower, I think, are the only new cards.
And not much in the way of additions beyond that, but we got Thraben Inspector. Smuggler's Copter, I guess, was banned, but it was legal for a period at the same time as the other cards. Archangel Avacyn, Spell Queller, that kind of thing. So getting online with some flying attackers and then using things like Spell Queller and Archangel Avacyn to be surprise disruption for the opponent. Getting Ally of Zendikar, a card that I think is pretty good. I haven't played with it yet. Ross not a fan.
I've not been impressed. 4 loyalty for a 4-mana Planeswalker is just kind of below the curve.
Fair enough. I talked a bunch of trash about Chandra Torture Defiance, so maybe it's just the same kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe. We're a little light on time, so why don't we just get right into it? I'm going to be on the play for this third game, third match for game 1 at least, and hopefully can keep the marbles here.
We did have one quick comment from I'm Not Russell. That Ryan, why are you smarter than Ross?
Why am I don't know that. There's a lot of different kinds of intelligence, right? I'm wittier than Ross. However, Ross has more of an aptitude for mathematics and for trivia. We're both just differently intelligent. Here at SCG, we like to build each other up. And I don't appreciate you making disparaging comments about Ross.
Normally the burns come from the chat over here. It's nice to see a little bit back the other way.
See, and I thought Russell liked you, Ross.
Yeah, and Russell's usually a positive fella.
Not today, I guess.
I guess not.
I got a nice little hand here. We're going to curve out pretty well, back it up with some removal. So I'm going to keep.
I don't have what it takes to mulligan this hand, but I think it might be a keep lose.
Okay, we're going to start on a Blood-Soaked Champion. Pass the turn.
Oh, we did it. Thraben Inspector. Make a clue.
Get yourself a Sam Black.
Oh, yeah. I was looking for a McVitie, but you got the new one.
Okay, I will attack you for 2.
Yeah, I'll accept. I'm at 18.
Okay. And then I will play another champion and a Night Market Lookout.
Yikes.
Pass the turn. Good. Nice little aggressive start.
All right, I will cast Smuggler's Copter and pass turn.
I will attack for 4.
And I'll fire up the copter.
I will fatal push it before blocks.
Yikes. Going to 14.
You're going to 14. I will then Thoughtseize you. I am not very scared of this Gideon, so I will take the Archangel Avacyn.
Putting your money where your mouth is.
I'll go to 18, and then I have a Castle Lochthwain. Pass the turn.
All right. Need something nice to happen here. I'll crack this clue. Yeah. Now you're in for it. Go. So champion's just 2 mana. If you attacked this turn, you can bring it from your graveyard to the battlefield. Is that right?
Yes.
That's a mess. That's a disaster for me.
Yeah. I believe you are incentivized to block at this point, so I'm just going to use my mana and get this copter down and pass the turn. Okay. Every other turn I've attacked because I was okay making the trade and spending my mana returning. That turn, not so much.
This is an interesting draw. You have 1 in hand.
1 card.
I can't resist.
Oh, no, I wish I had attacked. So give me 2 Sandblacks.
Then, not in a rush to draw a card. Anything can crew the copter. You can crew it as block, so that's got to pass.
End of step, I will crew to trigger the Night Market Lookout.
Yep, 13 to 19.
Something to remember if you're going to be playing this deck.
Yeah.
Get your drains in. And that is what we were looking for. Let's play this Rankle.
Yikes.
Crew the copter with the Night Market. So that'll bring me to 20 and you to 12.
Yep.
And we will get in for 6 in the air. I will loot with the copter since milling is good anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to take 6. Go to 6. I will certainly have us each discard a card. And I don't think I want to do anything else. Your hand is pretty bad. I have lethal. I don't want to give you more resources.
Very suspiciously discard Gideon.
And I don't want to sacrifice any creatures. So it looks like we're going to be staring down an Avacyn next turn. And I will pass.
Play this. So attacking with one of them makes sense, I think. Got 2 flyers, so I'll come in for 1.
19.
Your turn.
Murderous Rider, please. That does not count. So, what do I want to do now? Could it just hang back and sort of, just crew every turn, drain you for 1 while drawing a bunch of extra cards? I guess I should play this land and crack a clue because I can still draw Murderous Rider.
Sure.
That does not count. I don't. I guess I'm a little afraid of a Selfless Spirit being able to transform, but that's not something I can do a whole lot about. So let's crack the other clue. And pass the turn.
Yeah. Can't just waste the mana. Cast that. I'm going to reacquaint myself with the transformation of this card real quick. I'm going to draw for turn.
Is it each player?
It does not damage me.
Me? Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think it did. 2 readers.
I'll cast this to Fairy.
That will resolve.
Bounce your copter.
I will accrue it in response.
Yes.
So you go to 5, I go to 20.
Yes. Draw a card.
Yep.
Attack.
I will take 4, go to 16.
Inspector the third.
You were at 19, weren't you, Russ?
I am
Oh,
at
yeah,
20 crude
sorry.
there.
Yeah, because I just screwed.
My bad.
So you're empty-handed,
Correct. In passing.
and you're at 5.
Yes.
So Murderous Rider plus Copter will do it.
Yeah, so you kill this.
So I play
Crude
land,
that once. And then
Murderous Rider there, play Copter, crew bring you to 4, and then attack
and
you
then
to 1 and make a
life
siege
loss.
draw.
Yep.
Yeah, I drew the Rider off the second clue, which was a little awkward. Once I saw the Teferi, it was awkward because I thought, like, oh, even if you have Selfless Spirit now and you go for it, I can just kill you before it transforms.
Mm-hmm.
But if you went Teferi Selfless Spirit, it would have been a disaster.
Right. I needed this one. That's what I needed.
That is what we needed. But almost got close there. If I hadn't found the Murderous Rider, we would have definitely been just sort of sitting there, me hoping to drain you out in time.
Yeah, I started to turn the corner, but not quite.
The Deck and Stone is quite good.
The fatal push on the Copter early set me back a lot.
Yeah, and that is it's a nice reason to put swamps in your deck instead of plains.
Yeah.
Although your removal spell was still good, Deck and Stone.
True.
But not quite enough. So we're going to take a quick break here, get sideboarding set up for our last match. 1 game away from protecting those marbles. Don't go anywhere. And we're back here with sideboarding between Mono Black Aggro and Azorius Flash on my side. Noxious Grasp, an obvious all-star here, efficiently dealing with basically every threat in your deck, except for Smuggler's Copter, I guess.
Yeah, that'd be the one.
Yeah, so an easy addition here. Games are going to slow down a little bit. What to bring out is a little bit harder. In general, I think Gutter Bones is the worst card in the deck, so there's only 1 copy. I think that's an easy cut. I'm going to be turning a Rankle, especially on the draw. It can be a pretty good response to a Gideon. If you go Gideon on the play, I can Rankle, and you usually deal with it as a result. Maybe make you discard an Avacyn or something if you've curved out. But it also is fairly weak to Spell Queller. It can get bounced by Brazen Borrower for significant tempo. You have Surge of Righteousness after sideboard. So there's a lot of ways for this card to be pretty a net negative, where I'm spending 4 mana and you're efficiently answering it for 2 mana. So I don't want to overload on them. I want to make sure that I'm the person who's getting ahead, and then use my removal to make sure your more powerful effects don't get you back into the game. So I'm going to cut an expensive card, and then I'm going to cut a Night Market Lookout. We saw it do some good things in conjunction with Smuggler's Copter, but outside of that, it was not going to do anything. Right? I go Night Market Lookout, you cast Raven Inspector. This card looks embarrassing. So I also don't want to flood on that. So I'm going to trim 1 Night Market Lookout to make room for Noxious Grasp. The only other card I considered were the 2 copies of Kalidas Trader of Get. I think if I untap with this card, it's quite good. I have a lot more removal in the post-board games because of Grasp. There's already 8 removal spells in the main because of Murderous Rider. So it's really nice if I get to untap with it. The problem, once again, is 4 mana spell. Having to untap with it against this deck is not a guarantee. So I just don't want to get in that situation where I, stumble a bit because my hand is a little clunky, and then you're able to get ahead, and then your deck is very good at staying ahead at that point. So definitely need to keep that in mind. Make sure I keep a low curve and then have good interaction.
So I'm trying to do more of that get ahead, stay ahead thing. Gideon, a little bit inefficient on that front. I have to stabilize the battlefield before I cast them. Drawing multiple copies seems pretty rancid. Teferi Time Raveler doesn't block. I think I'd much rather be casting a Reflector Mage in basically every scenario.
Yeah, 2/3, a very relevant body.
Right. I have a Deputy Attention, which is probably better than Reflector Mage in this matchup. Seems pretty good. Lyra is probably going to die a fair amount of the time, but if it ever lives, the game's pretty well over, I have to imagine. Surge of Righteousness doesn't excite me. It's probably mostly for the red matchups, but it seems better than Teferi.
Yeah, definitely a little awkward against a deck with so many recursive threats.
Right.
But it'll still do some work.
I did have a plan to give fancy. There's some Supreme Verdicts and some Rest in Peace. There's no way I'd bring in more than Rest in Peace, 1 Rest in Peace in this matchup. Because you're just mulliganing at that point, and I'm just a creature deck. So I can't see bringing in Supreme Verdict in my creature deck when my creatures are my best cards.
Yeah, I think generally Supreme Verdict is there for matchups where Spell Queller is not good. Spell Queller in this matchup is, as a tempo card, isn't going to be great because you're usually not countering an expensive spell, but the 2/3 body is just serviceable.
Yeah, it's like a flash blocker probably a fair amount of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, your Avacyn's kind of your Supreme Verdict anyway, right?
What's that?
Your Avacyn's kind of your Supreme Verdict anyway.
Oh, sure, yeah. I misheard you. I thought You were somehow alluding to Avison and Supreme Verdict on the same turn.
Oh, no.
Indestructible.
Sure.
Wrath of God. Ah,
If you
got
want
him.
to, but, you know.
You do have Selfless Spirit to do it a little earlier.
Yeah, that is a nice combo. That just seems way too fancy to me. I think it backfires more than it works out.
Agreed.
So one question we did have in the chat here is kind of a level up question. Exemplar of Justice wants to know, do you both have any good way to teach yourself to play faster if you're naturally more of a slow player?
I think that when it comes to playing more quickly, if you want to play quickly and correctly, which is the sweet spot, it's finding ways to deal with information overload. And the best way is just to get reps in, particularly not just playing a lot of Magic, but playing a lot of the format you're going to play, so you just know what matters in a matchup. Ignoring superfluous information is the best way to act quickly in an environment like this.
I'm going to take this from a different perspective. In my experience, people who are slow players aren't usually slow because of their, inability to analyze quickly. I think they're just slow at taking the mechanical actions of the game.
Sure.
So watch how you're drawing your card every single turn. If you're one of those people that goes and then drags it across the mat and flips it up,
Do one of these. Cut
yeah,
that out.
just cut that stuff out, and you'll actually find yourself gaining a few minutes every single match, and that's relevant.
Yeah.
So I would look at it from that side before I really made a concerted effort to change how I played.
Yeah, well, I guess take a step back, figure out which one of these things you're doing wrong, and then work on that thing.
Yeah. Okay, Ryan on the play. Back against the wall. This is the first game one that I won.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is a fine hand.
Same.
All right, let's start on Thraben Inspector. Make a clue.
I will start on Blood-Soaked Champion.
Sure.
Pass the turn.
I can't imagine that I have much interest in blocking. So I'll get busy.
19.
You're up.
Attack for 2.
18.
Lead Vault, Thraben, or not. Scrap Heap Scrounger. I'm just
Yeah.
looking at your Thraben Inspector.
I'll be drawing a card here.
Are
Jealous.
you jealous of that clue it makes?
I'm a little jealous.
Clues are nice.
Thraben Inspector is one of my favorite cards of all time.
I'm a fan of Thraben Inspector. And the bar is pretty high for white cards for me. I dislike the overwhelming majority of them. Thraben Inspector.
Yeah, it
I
has
like.
one in Envy, so that's nice.
Yeah.
Ryan told me I couldn't give him any Merchant of the Veils, so I gave him a lot of basic planes because I knew he wouldn't like that.
Fair. I don't really have much of a blocker here, but I will just pass. The attack's not worth much. You can't fire up the Mutavault and bring back Blood-Soaked Champion on the same turn.
Okay. I'll get in with both.
I'll cast Spellcaller.
Sure.
I'll block this.
Take 3.
Yep. 15.
Fatal Push the Queller.
Yep.
You can go. Little, not great that I didn't hit a land there, keeping a 2-lander on the draw, but hopefully we don't get too punished.
Would you consider that being too punished?
No.
Okay, your turn.
Attack for 3.
You have 6 in hand.
Yep.
I don't really think that blocking here is doing me anything. Yeah, I'll go 12.
Return Blood-Soaked Champion.
Yep.
You can go. So just return. Yeah, because it can't block, it probably returns untapped.
All right, it's got some kind of downside. The question is where it lies.
Yeah.
All right, I'll pass turn.
This feels like an Archangel Avison.
It could be so many things, though.
Wow. Well, I am just going to Thoughtseize you. Sniff this one out.
I'll respond with Avison.
What else you got?
Trigger on the stack, Crewcopter.
Sure. I will take Lyra Dawnbringer.
With your scrap heap scrounger?
Yep. So brings me to 17.
Yep.
17 to 12. Okay, pass the turn.
Ooh. That's a heater. Reflector Mage.
Yep.
Bounce that. Crew Copter. Attack for 7. Trigger.
Yep.
You're at
I'm
10.
at 10.
Go ahead.
Noxious Grasp that thing.
Okay. You gain a life.
Yep, I go to 11. Pass the
Wait,
turn.
It just destroys it.
Yeah.
Not exile. Won't do this.
I will discard a Thoughtseize to hand size.
Nice. Ooh. Play this Castle Ardenvale. Yeah, crew and attack for 5. Loot.
I'm at 6.
You're up.
Little late on this one, unfortunately. And as I've noted, this deck is pretty bad once it falls behind. My creatures are not great in combat.
Yes. They don't block, kind of as a rule.
Yeah. I guess that one's actually probably best. Yeah. I will cast a Murderous Rider. Okay.
Spell Queller.
That'll do it. Perhaps I was supposed to Noxious Revival the Spell Queller that you ambushed with, and then I would have had Fatal Push for Copter. That probably would have been better. The Avacyn would have gotten in one more hit. I would have had to Murderous Rider. It still would have been a problem.
Yeah. It's really tough just any time where one spell is just all your mana.
Yeah. And it's not a very impactful spell.
Right.
But we got time for one last game with everything on the line.
That's where you love to be.
Got a question over there, Rob? We can take one.
I do. Do you both think this Mono Black aggro deck is the best Thoughtseize Fatal Push deck in the format right now?
Yes.
Yes, with an asterisk. I think that if somebody were to build it, I'd rather be on Thoughtseize Dig Through Time. I don't know what that deck looks like, but Dig Through Time's filthy. Your deck's not cheating. It's just playing Magic. I want to cheat.
Baseball is a game for you then. I'm on the play, just how I want to be. And I have a reasonable hand, so I will keep.
This hand's of dubious quality. I think I'm playing significantly more expensive spells than Ross. And this just is not it in terms of impact. This is worth a mulligan, I think.
Mulligan means another question. You got one, Rob?
Yep. Are there any cards so far that you're surprised haven't broken in a Pioneer?
I think the biggest surprise for me is Collected Company. I thought it was going to be one of the, I thought it was going to be a pillar of the format, to be honest. I think there were enough tools to make it work, and it really hasn't shown up much. So that would be the top of my list.
It's fair. I guess like when the format rolled around, I was immediately taking a look at all the previously banned cards. So any cards on that list that just haven't been good generally is where I would start. I think that Marvel being just lousy is not where I gauge it at all. I thought it would at least be playable. Not necessarily bannable, but playable. All right, this is a hand. I think this is what we were passing on before. So I guess it's between these, like keeping all this. There's no question about that. This card's real nice and this card's real medium. So I think we'll stick there.
Okay, I will start on a Bloodsuck champion.
Sure.
You're up.
Go ahead.
Okay, no Thraben Inspector this game. That is nice. Let's Mutavault, attack for 2,
18.
and play a Scrounger.
Yep.
You're up.
Speaking of unlucky, I will cast Smuggler's Copter and pass.
Not a bad one. Let's play Mutavault, activate this, and get in for 7.
Yeah, 11.
And we got another champion.
Uh-oh.
You're up. This is lethal damage next turn with the land, but I suspect there will be a blocker.
That's that. Go ahead. Is it 4 Scrap Heap Scroungers?
Activate Mutavault and attack.
So it'd be excessively greedy to crew the copter because I just get killed by Fatal Push, so I'll just jump in front of the Mutavault.
Okay. Before damage, I'll Noxus Grasp the Reflector Mage.
Sure.
Take 4, and I gain 1. So I'm at 21, you're at 7.
Yep.
You can go.
Put. 7 is a low life total.
I agree.
I'm going to pass here.
We've got Surge of Righteousness. Attack for 4.
Cast Spell Queller.
Yep.
Go to blocks.
Yep. Take 2.
5.
Fatal Push the Queller. Play a Scrap Heap Scrounger.
Yep.
You can go.
Reflector Mage. Go ahead.
Two in hand now.
Correct. Do you have 4 Scroungers in your hand yet?
Nope. Seems a little unlucky for you.
It is.
Two in hand. You're at 5.
Yes.
Feel like there's a surge there, which is pretty bad for me. So I think at this point I just want to start setting up a big attack. So I'm just going to play a Rankle.
Yep.
But I'm not going to attack. You're up. I'm going to continue to occupy that 2 mana.
Don't like that draw. I'll cast Reflector Mage.
Yep.
Rankle. Guess I play this, though. It's kind of an answer to the Scrounger. You're up.
Okay, well now I can play Scrounger, Copter, Night Market Lookout.
Woof.
You're up.
That ain't it. Go ahead.
End of turn, crew, drain you for 1.
4.
22 to 4.
Yep.
So now if you have you can't Avacyn plus Surge. So those are the 2 cards that I'm most worried about. Cast Rankle.
Spell Queller.
Okay, we have a Queller. So now,
Drawing this over Island was not good.
yeah. So now, if I crew here, I attack with 4 things. You get to crew here. I guess with the Queller. Surge 1, trade here, eat here, trade here, and you gain 2 life. So that doesn't seem good. So this is So I think I'll just sit here and try to drain you out with this Night Market Lookout.
That tracks.
And pass the turn. If I can just draw a removal spell for this, then the game will be easy. You'll need to draw a removal of your own or a Lyra. Don't have many turns to do it in.
Go ahead.
And a turn crew.
Yep.
3 to 23.
Yep.
Plus, I am now drawing extra cards off this castle. So sitting here favors me in that way as well. Let's do that. I'll go to 22.
Yep.
And that's a pretty good draw. Got another Queller.
I don't.
You're up.
Human. Crew.
Yep.
Attack you, trigger.
Yep. Got Deck and Stone.
You taking 3?
Yes. I will go to 19.
I do have Deck and Stone.
So I can crew with both here. So I will do that in response. That'll bring you to 1 and me to 21.
Yep.
These are exiled. I get 2 Sand Blacks.
Land go.
And a turn, crack one of the clues.
Yep.
Draw for turn. That was not a great set of draws. Crack another clue. That was a good draw, though.
Don't like that.
Because I have sacrificed a clue, I can Fatal Push this Spell Queller.
Yeah, that's going to kill me. It's like...
I never even had the Surge.
Yeah, I could play Copter there because I want like a good blocker there, but I'm at 1 and I only have 3 blockers.
Yeah.
So...
Okay, so another fast start for me that like didn't end the game immediately, but put me in a position where I got Ryan very low. He wasn't really able to turn the corner, and then I'm able to sit here and use the card advantage aspect of the deck to find what I need to finish it out.
Right. I think this deck has some issues with regards to just mana cost. So I think all these cards are. Like Reflector Mage isn't just good against you; it's excellent against you.
Yeah,
and Spell Queller is of a similar texture. We talked a little bit before the show. I would like to see this deck playing 1 mana creatures in some variety, just so you can cast this stuff on turn 2, or just accelerating your mana. I was just kind of sitting there casting 1 spell a turn, and you're just outspelling me by a pretty significant margin.
Yeah, I think Goose plus Oko on a Bant in a Bant shell could be very good here. And then, the power of Oko and Teferi, I think is one of the reasons that Collected Company hasn't seen a lot of play.
Yeah.
Because typically it's been the Bant creatures that you want to pair it with that go really well, Reflector Mage and Spell Queller, like you see in this deck. But there's so much power now in those Planeswalkers as well as Smuggler's Copter that that's a bigger incentive to build your deck with than Collected Company.
Right. There's just lower variance things too. Like Smuggler's Copter puts you in a position where if you just have creature and the copper doesn't get tagged, and only very specific things kill it. Like Wild Slash is the most played removal spell, and it just doesn't kill Copter. You get to sculpt your hand, so you don't need to take a look at a random 6 with Collected Company. You just get to cast your spells that are all very good.
Yeah. But I do agree that deck certainly has a curve issue. You even ran into mana issues there, stuck on the 1 blue source. So multiple things stopping you from being able to deploy multiple spells. Weren't really able to turn the corner, and then I drew 9 lands that game, but 4 of them were utility lands. So I was using all my mana, drawing a bunch of extra cards. And that's really impressive to be able to do out of a deck that plays 13 1-mana creatures and like 8 2-mana creatures if you count Smuggler's Copter. So that combination of very aggressive curve and still be able to play that attrition game is one of the reasons that I think this mono black deck is right now at least one of the top decks in the metagame. Definitely one of my choices for this weekend.
Right. And you didn't activate it that many times. You got in, I think, 1... activation or 2 on Castle Loxwain. However, if I had a draw that was keeping pace, you would have just kept activating it. So I would need to get some Haymaker or like enough cards to stabilize, and then I would need to draw really well with my card for turn to keep up with your 2 a turn.
Yeah, definitely. And just shows you the power of that card. I think that one, definitely red the most powerful of the cycle.
Right.
And they've all, been pretty good. Ardenvale is like kind of mediocre, but it just slots in. Vantress has seen significant play, especially alongside Fires of Invention, and then Castle Garenbrig, in Green Devotion decks here, as well as in Amulet Titan and Modern. Lochthwain, great. And then what's the other one? Oh, the red one.
Embereth.
Yeah, so that was just a solid one for aggressive decks.
Right. Yeah, the red deck in Standard, not as good as the Oko deck. So not much of a conversation there.
Yep. Really, really nice to have utility lands. Definitely, utility lands are literally my favorite thing in Magic. Mutavault is like in my top 10 list of favorite cards.
There's something just going on when I first started playing these lands. My brain kept telling me like 1 basic plus 2 of them somehow was bad, but they're just excellent. They just enter untapped if you check the first box.
Yeah. That's a cycle specifically. They're basically like check lands. So I get to play 4 copies in this list, and there's 15 swamps and then an Urborg. So you get to play 16 things that enter in tap. Sometimes you have hands that are castles and mutavaults, and it's a little awkward, but it's pretty easy to have one of 16 of in your opening hand, and that's all you really need.
Right.
Okay, we finished a little bit early here, so if you got some questions, Rob, we can take a few.
Yeah, I'm
wrap up the show.
People send me some more in, but first question I had was, what are both of your favorite modern decks right now?
I've been playing a lot of Amulet Titan, and that is definitely the deck I plan on playing this weekend. Everybody's all enamored with Oko, and that's just not the kind of Magic I play. That's sort of awkward, mid-rangey. I would just look at my hand and I'm like, I know these cards are good, but I have no idea what to do.
Sure.
Like when decks like Amulet Titan, I know what I need to do.
I have no idea what to do with Amulet Titan.
But I think it's easy to figure it out, like that deck out, because I have such a clear end goal. Resolve Titan, and then once Titan resolves, like find the lands that ensure you don't lose.
I'm way more of a early game specialist. I know how to start games. Like just having that end vision in mind, actually closing the game is probably my weakest point in Magic. And there's a lot of things in between where Amulet Titan I just get radio static. I look at it, my eyes glaze over. Couldn't figure it out if he gave me 100 years. My devotion to mono red prowess is unwavering. I have yet to be given a reason for me to put the deck down. I top forward a PTQ last weekend, lost to young Dylan Donegan, who went on to win the tournament. That was my 3rd match against Simic Urza in that tournament. My first loss in the tournament and to that deck, but single elimination when you hit the top 8.
Yeah, and you run into some strong players there.
Right.
So good run.
Whoa, he didn't outplay me.
Sure. But
Out Oko'd you?
Yeah, he out Oko'd, out Urza'd, that kind of stuff.
Probably didn't give you anything for free either, though.
Yeah, it wasn't giving much away.
Yeah. So that's where we are. Both been on the decks for a little bit. You longer than me. I've been on Amulet for about a month now.
Okay.
So
it's a really good deck. Castle Embereth, pretty big upgrade. Field of the Dead, pretty big upgrade.
And Once Upon a Time is insane in that deck.
Yeah.
What do you think about the cycle of Eldraine lands of the commons? Obviously, Mystic Sanctuary is pretty busted, but do you think that decks in Pioneer that are 1 or 2 colors should be trying to include some of the other ones?
Let's just go over what they do.
Yeah.
I looked at the white one a lot before I even read it because white's really bad and limited. So it's like checks for 3 planes and it puts a +1/+1 counter on a creature is the white one.
Okay.
Red one makes a 1/1 dwarf. Black one puts a creature from your graveyard on top of your library. The green one makes a food token, and the blue one's Mystic Sanctuary. I think the other 4 are unplayable, and Mystic Sanctuary is a little bit overhyped. It's good, but it's not like busted. It's good in the stage of the game where your opponent's deck's already doing its thing. Like the second Cryptic Command isn't the sticking point. It's when the first one is good, then you're just losing more.
Yeah. My issue with those cards, specifically in Pioneer, is the lack of fetch lands. Means that you probably have to play them in slightly higher numbers, which then makes them less reliable, and you get to see the downside more often when you draw them early. Specifically, and Sanctuary doesn't have Cryptic Command to go with. So we don't have that sort of end game loop even.
So they're sort of all just very marginal value lands that you have to draw later in the game for them to be good. And the kind of marginal value is probably not going to be that good that late in the game.
Right.
You know,
The effect that would be fetchable and could be fine is the red one, but the red decks aren't the decks that are trying to fetch Dryad Arbor.
yeah. So that ends up being rough for them. And it's not that like they need to enter untapped. It's not they have to enter with mountains. If for some other reason they entered untapped, they would. Though I don't think there's anything that does that.
Yeah.
So like they don't work with Amulet of Vigor, for example.
Right.
So they just don't seem powerful enough to me, especially when you have all these other options. You know, if you're a monocolor deck and you need utility lands, you can play the castles, you can play Mutavault, you know, you can. I'm sure there's some other ones.
Nykthos.
Yeah, Nykthos. Yeah. So they're way down on the power ranking list there. So I don't think we will see them in Pioneer.
Agree.
All right. So also the fourth wants to know if you're playing a white creature deck, would you rather play Declaration in Stone or Conclave Tribunal in your 60 as your removal?
Depends what you're up to, right? I think that a big strength of the white aggressive deck in Ixalan Standard, one of the most powerful cards in that format that really started to disappear when Goblin Chainwhirler was printed, was Legion's Landing. The mana acceleration combined with the threat, combined with the late game engine, that card does so much. And if you're built around a bunch of cheap creatures, get on the battlefield quickly, I do think that Conclave Tribunal is just a better card than Declaration in Stone. But you have to be moving in that direction.
Yeah, I will generally say the upside on Tribunal is there. There is the obvious downside. Honestly, I think you have room to play a split.
Sure.
I could see playing 2-2 or
like this deck shouldn't touch Conclave Tribunal because all your stuff
Yeah.
costs 3. That's just a non-starter.
yeah, you've got to be to play Conclave Tribunal. You either have to be playing cards like Raise the Alarm, or you have to be playing, like more 12 plus 1-drops.
Right.
You know, that's where the conversation starts. So, but I think there's with Pioneer being a little bit faster than Standard, I don't think you have time to be sitting here casting like 2 and 3 Conclave Tribunals in a game. So I don't want that card in high numbers. So if you have room for and you want, 3, 4, 5 removal spells in your main deck, which is not unreasonable, I definitely think there's room for, a 2-2 split, 3-2, 3-1, something in that range. So I don't think you have to decide between them. If you only wanted to play, say, like 2 removal spells in your deck, I would side with Tribunal. I think
It costs 0 sometimes.
Yeah, and the versatility there, just dealing, one of the principles I adhere to in deck building is if my deck doesn't have very much removal in it, I want the removal I do have to be able to deal with anything,
Right.
if possible. And Tribunal definitely fits that bill. So I would err on that if first, but I think there's room to fit, a couple of each.
Yeah.
Okay, we can take one more, Rob, and then we'll wrap up the show.
All right. Black Green X Mage wants to know, you can't pick each other or yourselves. Who do you think will win the Envy? Obviously, you two will be playing in the finals, right? But
Obviously. Who else is out there this weekend? There's a lot of really good players in the field, as there typically would be in an invitational. And there's a lot of people taking it very seriously with the Players' Championship points race coming to a head here. The final tournament on that. I wouldn't be surprised if Austin Collins just rolled in and won.
I am. It's hard to pick any one person here because, normally it's stronger for me to make a pick if we have a really strong idea of what the metagame is. Like I wasn't very surprised at Brad Nelson's 8-0 run on day 1 of the Pro Tour because everybody knew that Standard format was going to be about positioning green mid-range battles,
Right.
and that's exactly what he's really good at. So there's a lot more uncertainty here. So I'm going to go with another. I can't remember the word I'm trying to think of, but
Wide range.
rule of thumb,
Oh, sure.
we'll say, and guess whatever would be the worst possible scenario for me, and that's somebody in that scrum for the Players' Championship. So I'm going to go with Edgar Magayesh.
Sure. Strong pick.
Yeah.
well, to be fair, even if he wins, his slot passes down because
Oh, yeah, that's true. It's bad for me for them to take second.
Right.
Yeah.
So who winning? Oh man, that means that I need to pick somebody else. That's too difficult. I don't know. There's-
One of the Canadians or Edgar. I
Yeah.
Dom Harvey, because anytime he gets to the top 8 of a tournament, he somehow wins.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw him post that he was playing like Hard in the Scales, Green Devotion. He's just taking the best deck and making it worse, which is not where I'd want to be.
Yeah.
I'd bet against that.
He'd have
Okay.
a great winners interview though. So
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
I mean, I want Dom to win. I'm just saying, I saw that, and that's stinky. That's
Well,
no good.
I hadn't seen that, so I'll plead ignorance. We got some subs to thank here, Rob.
yes, we do. We've got 4 today. I'm sorry. Li the Duck subscribed for 14 months. Frozine also for 14 months. G Dev subscribed, and King Trey H for 2 months. So thank you to all of our subs.
Okay, thank you all. As we've mentioned throughout the show, SCG Con Winter this weekend at the Berglund Center in lovely Roanoke, Virginia. Hopefully y'all can come down for at least part of that. We will all be around. Both Ryan and myself will be there along with a bunch of other people. Don't be shy. Come up, say hello. We love interacting with our fans. If you cannot make it, the Invitational, the premier event for the weekend, will be going on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I believe coverage will start at about 11:30 local time.
It's a pregame show on top of that.
Yeah.
We start at noon, so I think they do the pregame at 11:30.
Sounds
It's
right.
like 10, I think.
Ooh,
I don't
they're doing a
remember
lot of
exactly
pregame.
what-
Oh, no, we start at 11 now.
Gotcha.
So it'll be 10:30 or 10? Okay. Well, I'll
Being
put
is how I direct the broadcast, and I'm directing this. I should know when we start that day,
Yeah.
but I don't.
It's not even a tomorrow problem.
It's okay.
It's a Friday problem.
at this point, I've completely butchered it. It'll be something around that time.
I'm looking it up so we can give them
yeah.
actual information.
And we'll have that. And we'll be playing 8 rounds of Pioneer, 8 rounds of Modern. We'll have a Pioneer top 8 on Sunday. So, if you like Pioneer, this is
Oh, sorry.
10?
Yep, 10 a.m. Friday, Saturday, 8 a.m. on Sunday.
Awesome. And that is Eastern time. So this will be probably the, most anticipated Pioneer event to date. We've had a lot of online stuff. We had the Nerd Rage Gaming event, but this is definitely the biggest and I think most stacked field for a Pioneer tournament. A lot of people working on it. So should be a great one. Hope you can watch it if you can't make it down here to Roanoke. Thank you to Ryan for being our special guest today and joining us.
Yeah, appreciate y'all having me. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. But that is going to be it for us. Next week, we will be back to our regular schedule. We'll have Tuesday and Thursday shows of Versus Live, 1 to 4 p.m. That's Eastern time right here at twitch.tv/StarCityGames. So we will see you there.